today on the Lions. It's Hornung coming wide right. The guard pulls beautifully. Hornung gets a big hole, rumbles into the clear, cuts to the middle of the field, runs over a tackler, gets 44 yards, and they finally bring him down.
In the early 50s, a football legend begins to grow in the bluegrass country of Lexington, Kentucky. Paul Hornung, high school all-star, 3 sports, 2-time All-America University of Notre Dame, Heisman Trophy winner, first-round draft choice, Green Bay Packers, 3 times NFL scoring leader, All-Pro, 3 times champion Green Bay Packers. Today, Hornung is a successful businessman in Louisville and sportscaster for Notre Dame and the Minnesota Vikings. Howard Cosell met Hornung at an intimate East Side restaurant and later at Hornung's Manhattan apartment, where they explored the legend of a man who is known to all as the Golden Boy.
Paul, the image of you created through all the years, the Golden Boy, the big swinger, was this a natural thing or a purposeful thing?
Well, I don't actually think it was a purposeful thing, Howard. I guess it started at the University of Notre Dame. You know, when a kid received such great publicity as I did when I was at the university, and then going on to the pros, I was always single. I liked the good life, but I would have to say, in all honesty, the most important thing to me in the pros was, you know, being a successful football player in the Lombardi regime.
Football was the central theme in the life of Paul Hornung, and I think, Paul, these films will attest to that.
Oh, this few years ago.
You look like a boy. That was the original Golden Boy. When your ankle was right and locked properly, you really could kick, Paul.
Well, I enjoyed it. Of course, all my life, even when I was a kid, I'd practice kicking, and of course, as a quarterback at Notre Dame, did the kickoffs and the extra points and the field goals, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it in the pros, of course.
The longest one you ever kicked was a 52-yard free kick against the Bears, remember?
Absolutely, and this, a lot of shots coming up here, I guess, will be against the Bears. This is a sweep, Howard, that was Lombardi's, well, it was his theory. If you didn't run the sweep, you did not have a successful offense.
He would say the key play in our offensive category, it sets up every other play in our category.
Absolutely.
Always behind 64 Kramer and 63 Thurston.
And here they are. That's Kramer out in front. He wasn't a bad guy to run behind. Both he and Thurston were as good a 2 pair of guards as I guess you'd ever find in professional football.
The Packers all set, trying to take it in. The fake to Taylor. They go to Hornung. Hornung to the left side. Gets a hole. Out into the open. He's in the end zone. That quarterback for the Packers, Lamar McCann, goes to Hornung. Comes wide to the right. Cuts back in back of Taylor. And he's going to go in and score. We're ready to go. Bart Starr with a split backfield goes to Hornung. He goes inside. He's to the 10. He's to the 5. He's free and clear into the end zone. Packers on the move. Starr ready to go. He's going to Paul Hornung. The guard pulls, and Hornung has a hole. He's in for the score. Packers down in close, trying to get 6. They go to Hornung. He's got it. Trying to take the team in. McCann hands to Hornung. He's over. They set their defenses. Starr going to Hornung. A hole. He's over. Touchdown right off the goalpost. Paul Hornung at quarterback. He runs a quarterback draw, delays beautifully, breaks up the middle, into the clear, cuts to the outside. He's at the 40, 35, 30, 25, inside the 25, knocked down on the 21. Guards pulling left for Hornung, trying to get something going from inside the Packer 25, has running room. Cuts back against the grain and goes to the other side of the field. He's approaching midfield. He's at the 50, 45, 40, down the sideline to the 30, 25, 20, down the sideline and out of bounds on the 10.
But what these films have pointed up is your total versatility as a ball player, the ability as a blocker, as a runner, as a pass receiver. The ability on a trap play in close to the goal line to shift, go up and over on the dive. Again, the reception for the TD there. Paul, maybe you couldn't throw well enough to be a quarterback, but nobody ever did the option pass play better. You threw well enough for that. So you had it all.
Hornung at quarterback, running a sweep way out to the right side. Good blocking. Hornung takes it in and scores. Art Starr, the quarterback, going off to Hornung, swings the sweep out to the right side. Good blocking. Shakes off a tackler. Gets to the outside, still driving, and they get him out of bounds at the 30. Starr going off to Hornung. He's coming wide on the famous Green Bay sweep. He's at the 10, 5. He's over. Starr to Hornung. Hornung cuts back. He's driven outside. He can't get inside, but he scores. Here at Wrigley Field, the Packers trying to go in for the score. Hornung wide to the right. He's at the 10, cuts back at the 5. He's in to score. And Mr. Hornung throws it into the seats.
There it goes. First time a ball ever thrown into the stands by a player, wasn't it?
Yes, I guess it was, and it started, I guess, an avalanche of ball players throwing it into the stands. Today, it's outlawed, so to speak. It costs a ball player $50 to throw a football up into the stands. And Hallis was pretty perturbed at that. It was happening at Wrigley Field, and I don't know why I did it. Sports writer said I threw it to a pretty little lady sitting up there. If there had been a pretty lady, I probably would have thrown it up there, but that's not actually why I threw it up there. I don't know why. It was just the reflex.
Anyway, it was an augury of more to come. You know, I think we should pick up in a moment with your career under the Golden Dome. Okay?
All right.
There it is, the landmark at South Bend, Indiana, of the University of Notre Dame, the Golden Dome, and one of the great and traditional statues there, the campus scenes. Paul, you had made it from the very beginning. As a high school player, the best in Kentucky, at Notre Dame and All-America. What a boy you were then.
Of course, these seemed like old-time uniforms, and really, just 15 years ago, we didn't wear a face mask. And of course, I always felt that's Terry Brennan, who I just admire as not only as a man, as a coach. I was very fortunate to be under him at the university for 3 years, but I always felt that was probably the best decision I ever made, Howard, was to go to Notre Dame.
Why did you go there?
Well, Frank Leahy was the coach when I was a senior in Louisville, Kentucky, and he could sell ice cube to Eskimos. There wasn't any question about the recruiting, but I wanted to play for the university. I figured it was the best place to go if you're a quarterback, and I wanted to play. This is against SMU, which was always our rival, and your friend here played on this ball club.
The old Dan Deroux.
Dan Deroux Meredith was the quarterback, and they beat us, I think, 19-13 in the Cotton Bowl here.
Notre Dame moving well here today. Hornung takes the ball to the outside, keeps it, gets good blocking, now cuts back up the middle. Hornung in the clear, straight up the middle, has a lot of running room, and is going to go all the way for Notre Dame. Ready to go. Hornung goes out against the flow to the left side, throws on the run, has his man clear, touchdown. Here's the kickoff. Hornung takes it on a hop around the 10-yard line. He gets 10 yards, breaks to the 30. Now he's to the 40 at the sideline. Good run. He's over midfield and knocked out of bounds at the 35.
Paul, you won the Heisman Trophy in '56 with a team that won 2 and lost 8. That's an extraordinary achievement.
Well, I was very fortunate. It came as a surprise. I guess a lot of your winners who win that trophy don't realize the importance of it, I guess, until you get to the pro leagues. And winning the Heisman Trophy is one of the greatest thrills I've ever had in sports,
And
especially with the team at, when we lost 8 ball games my senior year, I felt that, I didn't have a chance for it. I had a pretty good day against SC out in the Coliseum in Los Angeles, which I felt probably swayed a few of the votes. There were some pretty good athletes. Jim Brown was a senior.
That's the point.
John Brody was a senior. Len Dawson was a senior. Tommy McDonald, and they had some pretty fair country football players
They
that
sure
year.
did.
We're ready to go. Hornung fakes off, now rolls to the right side. Trying to make the pitch, can't do it, keeps it himself, breaks out into the clear and scores. Hornung calling his numbers, trying to get something going for the Irish, dropping straight back to throw. Everybody covered, swings to the outside, cuts back into the middle, has good running room, now comes to the other side of the field, has a chance to go all the way. Hornung still driving down the sidelines, and he's going to go in for the touchdown.
That run, I think, was against SC out in Los Angeles.
Paul, I think we should turn back to a pair of title games. The one you lost in '60 at Franklin Field to the Dutchman, Van Brocklin and the Eagles. And then in '61, the Giants, when some of us in New York thought Green Bay would become Tittletown rather than Titletown. And how wrong we were. Let's look.
The 1960 championship game of the National Football League, Franklin Field, Philadelphia. Had over 60,000 fans swarming their way into the stadium on the campus of the University of Pennsylvania to see this big game between the Philadelphia Eagles, coached by Buck Shaw, and the Green Bay Packers, headed by Vince Lombardi. No score here in the first quarter, and Green Bay trying to get on the board. Here's Paul Hornung with a field goal try. It's high enough and long enough, and it is good. And Green Bay goes out in front 3-0. The Packers are going to try another field goal. Here's Paul Hornung to try another one. The snap, it's placed perfectly, and it's kicked beautifully. It's straight and long and true, and it's good, and Green Bay leads 6-0. Here's another field goal try by Paul Hornung. This one's off to the left. It is not going to be there. It is no good. And the half ends with the Eagles in front, 10-6. We're getting ready for the second half. Starr calling his numbers. He's set to go. Gives off to Paul Hornung. Hornung's coming off tackle. Has 5, 10, 12, 13 yards before they bring him down. Starr ready to go. Fakes off to Jim Taylor. Gives the ball to Hornung. Hornung trying to run that big sweep to the right. Now he cuts back inside of Bednarik. But Bednarik won't let him go, and Hornung is thrown after a 2-yard gain. Hornung is injured on the play, and he's going to have to leave the game. Starr back to pass. Bart ready to go. Flings it out on the left side and gets Hornung. Paul's got it, comes up the middle, breaks off a tackler, gets 20, gets 25 yards before they bring him down. Green Bay trying to take it in to score. Starr going to Hornung, breaks to the right side. He's in for the touchdown. The Packer bench warming up a little bit now as things have gone Green Bay's way so far. Now Green Bay ready to add the extra point. Starr holding, Hornung kicking. It's up, but it's good. The Packers go out in front. Field goal time. Starr the holder, Hornung the kicker. Here's the snap. It's placed perfectly by Starr, kicked perfectly by Hornung. Packers out in front, 24-0. Trying to add another field goal now. Here's Hornung's boot, and it's up and good again by the Golden Boy. Starr calling his numbers. They go to Hornung. He smashes straight up the middle. He's got good yardage. Hornung trying to add the extra point. Here's the snap. The kick is up, and it's good.
Well, Paul, we've been through all the glory years, and richly you deserve the title legend because you were very great. But you were human and made mistakes, and let's get right to it. April 17, 1963, Pete Rozelle announces Paul Hornung, along with Alex Karras, suspended indefinitely for gambling improprieties.
Well, Howard, I guess when I went through that 1963, it was probably the most important year of my life. Well, you knew how I was in those days. I was carefree and probably am today, but when I was betting on the football games, I didn't believe that it was, it was that important a danger until naturally when I was suspended. I knew earlier, in January and February, that I was going to be suspended. I knew some action was going to be taken by Commissioner Rozelle, and I felt that, he had every right to do what he did, to suspend myself. When you're going through something like that, it's all right on your own shoulders. Everybody would say, well, Paul, what about, was it there any other football players betting? When something like that happens to you, you wonder then about your life, because it was an important decision. That year, I had talked to Coach Lombardi about it many, many times after that, and he reassured me. He said, Paul, keep your nose clean for a year, stay away from the Derby and the horses, and I know you'd like to go to the races. Please do me one favor. When the year is up, when they will review your case next year, there's a good possibility that you will be reinstated, and that's actually what I wanted more than anything in life. And I did lead a exemplary life for that 1 year.
You did. I wonder, though, if your mother and Vince ever got over the hurt of what you had done. And I suspect, too, maybe you learned something that year you were out about the young people of this country.
Well, there's a cliche, you learn who your friends are when something like that happens to you. And I did, in fact, learn who my friends were during that year. Also, Howard, I learned one great thing. It wasn't the danger of myself. I could afford a betting $300 or $400 on football. The danger of it is if somebody who can't afford it gets hooked in betting and gets hooked with the gamblers, maybe they will ask them to throw a football game. That is very, very dangerous. But I would say that the hurt comes with the youngsters, the teenagers, the young kids who look up to any athlete because they feel that anything that a ball player in my position would have done in those days, well, that was all right. That's the danger of it. I received so many letters from kids who really couldn't understand, and I tried to answer each one of them the best way I could. I really felt that, if I let anybody down, not only my family, my coach, and the players, that it was the youngsters who looked up to Paul Hornung in those days.
That's what I was really getting at. Finally, Paul, you did come back in '64. Played in '65 with the Pack. Had a great game, 5 touchdowns in 1 game against Baltimore. But essentially, the greatness was gone. And then there was New Orleans. Retrace that.
Well, Howard, I had hurt my knee in '62. And actually, after the '64 season, I couldn't lock my ankle consistently to kick. So I couldn't kick off with any, regular strength that I had always had. And field goals were almost a 50-50 chance where if I locked my ankle, I'd kick good. If I didn't, I couldn't. But when I hurt my neck against the Bears the last time in Chicago, I kind of felt it was over. I had all the strength off my left side was gone. And after, of course, when I had the opportunity to go to the New Orleans Saints in the expansion, whether to play or not, there was a lot of money involved. And after talking with Mayo Clinic, with Houston Medical Clinic, and after going through scripts in Southern California, the doctors persuaded me that I would be very wise if I decided on retirement. And I would rather finish up with the Packers. After seeing what happened to Taylor down there the first year, it would have been very difficult.
Well, it was, overall, a tremendously great career, and a very human one, as we've discussed in the very recent moments. Thank you very much, old buddy.
Well, Howard,
Paul, we're terribly late. Please.
Oh, you're kidding.
Howard, some things are important and some things are not, but I think this may be one of the most important things. I will see you later. Things that have to do it, I have to do it.
I don't believe it. Well, at least he did lead 1 year of an exemplary life, as he just told you. I guess, as a human being, Paul will never really change. But as a football player, I think he should be remembered the way his coach, Vincent T. Lombardi, put it in his classic book, Run to Daylight. Between the 20-yard lines, Vince wrote, he was never more than an ordinary player. But once inside the 20, he became the greatest football player I have ever seen. He smelled the goal line. Vincent T. Lombardi was right. Number 5, Paul Hornung, out of Notre Dame, the Green Bay Packers, a legend in his time.
Paul Hornung, the Golden Boy, once a National Football League superstar and the recognized leader of the Green Bay Packer football dynasty. When Hornung retired after the 1966 season, he had been named All-Pro 3 times and had led the league in scoring 3 years in succession, including a record-breaking 176 points in 1960. Today, Hornung is a successful businessman in his hometown of Louisville, Kentucky, and football broadcaster. Long live Paul Hornung, and long live his legend.